All right, I believe we are currently live. I'm just going to give us a second for it to actually pop up and tell me that I'm live before I start waffling. But I think we're live. Yeah, perfect. Right then. So this is episode 8 of the struggle series. I apologize for it being a day late. I had a migraine yesterday and ended up spending the day in bed, but we're here now and we're ready to roll. So today's topic is never enough. I think one of the biggest complaints that I hear from women is that they feel like they're never enough. They feel like they can't do enough, they can't give enough, and because of that, they therefore feel like they're not enough. When the reality of it is, most women are basing their self-worth on something that is dictated by the external world. So they're playing comparison games, and their worth is, as a person, is dependent on what they can do or what they can provide relative to somebody else who is in a similar situation, which is, it's normal because it's what we're conditioned to believe. The more you have, the more you can do, the more you must be worth, right? But that's just not true. The measure of a person isn't in what they have or what they do, because at the heart of it all, we are all fundamentally the same. We're all energy, we're all matter, we're all living and breathing creatures. Yes, there are individual differences, of course there are, because we all have these quirks, these individual things, but at the roots, when you go right down into it, we're all exactly the same. So when it comes to being enough, instead of looking at other people and seeing what you lack, look at them and find what you actually have in common. I spent half of my life comparing myself to other people and wondering why I wasn't as good as them, or why I couldn't do things that they could do seemingly so easily, even though I knew deep down that I could do it, but I just couldn't make it happen when I needed to. I was always full of fear and doubt and just that horrible feeling that you just aren't good enough. And I think now my outlook is different. I work hard, I always do my best. I'll turn up, I'll do the job, and if it's not good enough for you, then I'm okay with that. If it's not good enough for me and I care enough, then I'll work on it. But I will not let that devalue me as a person, and neither should you. When you compare yourself to someone else, it's okay to be aware of the things that they have and that you would like to have, but it shouldn't be your focus, because what you focus on grows, as I've said a bajillion times. So if all you can see is lack, all you're going to get is more of that. So you can acknowledge the lack and use it as fuel and align it to your goals if it's something that you want, but don't dwell on it, because if you dwell on it, you're not going to be able to move past it. Instead, find the similarities and be grateful for them. Be grateful that you have these things in common with these people that you admire and who you think are so much better, because you are similar. There are things you have in common. And when you can do that, when you can look at the similarities, then you open yourself up to the possibilities of becoming the other things that you think you're lacking. Because if you remember, I've talked about this before, that we're creatures of duality. So being able to see something in someone else means that you have it too. It's a simple principle of projection. You can't recognize a trait in someone else if you don't have it yourself. And it's one of the reasons why we get so upset by certain qualities in others, because they're often the things that we have in ourselves and we dislike and we try to hide. And when other people show the world that, it really upsets us, because that we're constantly working to hide it. But when you understand that, this principle of duality, that everyone has, all these different things and you have them too, then you can look at it objectively and things will start to change for you. You'll start to change. And then you'll realize that you can have whatever you want to have if you're willing to do the work around it and you're willing to be whatever you need to be in order to have that. I always say be, do, have. Okay, very simple. You've got to be it so that you can do it, so that you can have it. But it takes work. At the end of the day, we're all energy, we're all matter, which means we all have infinite potential to be who we want to be. And everything that we need to make that happen exists inside of us already. But you have to be able to take relevant action on that to nurture those qualities and then bring them out and strengthen them and build them up. So if you're enough in your inner world, then you're going to be enough in the outer world. And it doesn't matter what other people think or say or do, because you won't feel the need to compare yourself to them. You will look for the things that are different, but in an objective way, and you won't allow it to affect your own self-worth. Because when you can do that, you will be enough. And when you feel like you're enough, the need to measure just disappears. At the end of the day, being enough and feeling enough comes down to self-acceptance. And if you want to learn more about that, go back to, I think it's video number 2, which there is a link to in the description here, because I cover self-acceptance in great detail there. So go back and give that a little watch. Now, if you remember rightly, I am trying to reach 500,000 women and lead them towards a limitless life. So I want you to share this video and any of the other videos in this series. I want you to tag your friends, tag anyone who you think would get used to it. I apologize, the camera is shaking. It's because it's on my knee. I'm sitting in my beanbag chair. It's very comfortable. If you don't have a beanbag chair, guys, get yourself one. It's brilliant. It's very comfortable. Anyway, make sure you're sharing this, tagging people. And if we go back to Thursday, I covered worrying as a topic, and I promised that on Monday I would be doing a journal exercise in my group to help you work through your own personal worries. So if you feel like you need a bit of that, join me in the group using the link that I'm going to drop in the comments, and then I'll see you live in there tomorrow. Have a wonderful Sunday, guys. We've got 2 more episodes coming on this. If there is anything you desperately want me to cover, please let me know in the comments. Other than that, have a beautiful day. I'll see you all in the group tomorrow.